Welcome to Intuition Unleashed, a revolution in personal liberation. The go-to podcast that helps you access intuitive guidance combined with mental health and spirituality. Let your intuition guide you and unlock a life of true liberation. And now your host, Becc Nelson.
Yay, I'm so excited. I'm back. Intuition Unleashed is back. And so when I say back, even though this is a premiere show, we have about 13 shows that we've done previously, and there has not been one put on since July of 2023. But we are back. This is our premiere show for Intuition Unleashed, and I'm new with the Transformation Talk Radio. I'm so excited about this reunion. Woohoo! And I have an amazing guest today. So if you've ever wondered if that sign, dream, or feeling that you have is real, this show is going to help you to understand how your loved ones are showing up for you and how to open that door even wider. So let me introduce my personal friend, Debbie Squizzero, and she is a psychic medium. She is a grief educator, and I am so excited to have her here because Debbie has an amazing story that I have to share with you, because Debbie was not always just a psychic medium, and she has an amazing story about following your intuition. So Debbie, yeah, I'm so happy to have you here, Debbie.
Oh, Becc, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored. I'm grateful. We're going to have a great conversation today. I really love the topic. I think it's great.
Oh, we have no problem keeping this to 30 minutes, do we?
No, not at all.
So let me tell you about how I met Debbie and why she's so important to me personally and why I adore her. So Debbie is actually really a part of my own spiritual journey. She and I met 13 years ago now. You probably I don't even know if you remember how this happened, but so I am, did I introduce myself? I'm Becc Nelson. I'm so excited. I'm like forgetting myself. So I'm Becc Nelson. I'm actually a licensed marriage and family therapist and an author, and I'm the creator of the Beccology method, which combines spirituality and mental health to help people transform their lives. So I was not always tapping into the spiritual part of me. And Debbie was really, I don't even know if she knows it or not, was really a key piece of that. I was actually seeing one of Debbie's neighbors initially. And Debbie's neighbor came in and started telling me, or her neighbor started coming in and telling me in her session, she said, I told that my neighbor that I was coming here today. And my neighbor said something to the effect of, I see this beautiful helping person behind you. What an amazing, what a healer she is, an amazing golden light. And my mouth was like, really? Like I was fascinated because I was not opening myself up to any of this at the time. And I said, can you please connect me? So she did. She connected me with her. Debbie came over and we talked for the first time. And literally we talked for 3 hours. Like we talked and talked and talked. I mean, it was like both of us together. And I think right away there was sparks. So I'm very happy to have Debbie here. She was such an important part of my own journey. So Debbie, without further ado, can you tell us, we're talking today about clearing myths, improving connection, and following your intuition. So you had a long career in education. So tell me a little bit about that, or a lot of bit about that, and then tell me sort of the whole process. Can you share that?
Sure. And I forgot about that. That's right. The neighbor I can't believe that was 13 years ago. So
Yep.
Thank you for that. Yes, I was a kindergarten, first grade special education teacher for 23 years. And the joke in my family is that my parents were both teachers. I would never become a teacher. And here I was. But I am in my mid 50s. And when I look back, this whole thing started between age, I'll say 6 and 8, where I first had an encounter with the spirit world. And then and I didn't know what it was about. I now know it was an encounter with beautiful deceased souls, and I didn't know who they were. And then as my life kind of rolled on and we lived life in my 20s, I would go and see a woman on and off who would tell me all the time when I would sit with her, Debbie, you're going to do this work. And I said to her, I'm in my 20s at the time. I said, you're out of your mind. I said, I'm going to go be a teacher. I love sitting here with you and connecting with my loved ones in heaven. And you give me guidance about, things going on in my life. And it's fabulous, but I'm not doing this work, right? So I thought. And I also had in my 20s, I would dream vividly of my deceased loved ones. I had a lot of questions about the afterlife. And then in my 30s, I had a big emotional moment, which we all do here at, in the physical world. We have a lot of hardships. So that kind of really opened up all my intuition. I sat with a local healer. She told me the same thing that this woman in my 20s told me, because that woman, I went back to her and she was no longer in the States. She had moved. So I went to a local healer. And I always say this woman and somebody else, I had two women who absolutely changed my life on this path. So she was one of them. And she explained all of what was going on, told me, like what that woman in my 20s told me, do you know you have this ability? And so I took it seriously because I said, I want everyone to know that their loved ones in heaven walk beside them each and every day. They don't miss out. So I actually studied with her, worked out of my house, ran my business for under the radar for 10 years, nights and weekends. So I just was quiet about things. And I knew that I loved helping people in this way. And so I did that for 10 years. And then between 2019 and 2020, Spirit came knocking and was like, so Deb, we're going to leave teaching again. Like I said to that lady in my 20s, you people are out of your mind. Where do you think I'm going? Right. And here's what I've learned about our earthly experiences here and our adventure, if you want to call it, our journey here. I've learned that the experiences that we fear the most, that are the hardest, are really the things that we came here to embrace. They're overwhelming. We don't see how it's going to happen, but that's where we have to trust and surrender in the journey. So I fought Spirit for a while about, they said, take a leave of absence. I said, yeah, no. Well, actually, I said, I'll think about it. And they know. I would say, your loved ones know when you're, not being honest or you're full of it, I like to say. And that's when you're off your path here and your loved ones or your spiritual support team comes in and they say, listen, you signed up to do certain things here. You're really off your path. So we're going to do something hard and it's going to hurt. And that's usually the challenging things that happen here, right? The life falls apart. Everything we know falls apart. And that's kind of what happened to me in the form of a stress-induced mental and emotional breakdown, which I now say was the worst thing that ever happened to me, truly. Forced me to take that leave of absence. Best thing I ever did. When I took the leave of absence, everything aligned in my life for mediumship like I could have never imagined, like above and beyond. And so I'm not going to say it was like simple like that. I had other things, but I mean, it was clear to me. And so I hear ABBA, Take a Chance on Me. I get a lot of songs even when I just talk. This is part of my work. I'm so connected with the songs. But so I took that chance. I took my year leave of absence, left my teaching position after my year leave of absence. And here I am 5 years into this as on a full-time level. And I'm blessed, I'm grateful. And I've learned, again, the thing that we fear the most is really the thing we need to embrace the most here. So here I am. And I had a hard time listening to those nudges, but when you don't, Spirit makes you listen to the nudges, when you're really off your path. And one last thing I'll say, because I'm seeing it, a lot of times Spirit will show me a little place card holder that usually is like, Deb, listen, when you go somewhere and they save your table for you until you got there? It's basically like they said to me, listen, so we're saving this position or this where you were supposed to step into until you realized really where you were supposed to be. And I'm grateful, truly.
Is it safe to say that when we met, you were sort of in that place where you were starting to question and feel like that something needed to change?
I was, when we met actually 13 years ago, you were so kind and offered me a place to read in your beautiful office space there. That's where I was. I was working nights and weekends. Yeah.
So people are listening to this saying, like, I'm hearing you say things like, Spirit showed me. Can you explain what that was like for you? Because it's not the same for everybody, but help people to understand more what you mean by that. Spirit showed you.
Spirit showed me, meaning like Spirit showed me when I needed to leave kind of thing?
Spirit showed me when I need to leave. Spirit gave you some nudges. Can you help other people understand what that would mean for you?
So the nudges were, they I actually heard them say to me, we're going to leave teaching. And then what happened is, what I know is that the message from Spirit, and I tell my clients this, the message from Spirit is loving and repeating. So I not only heard it from Spirit, I heard it from, Spirit is a very infinite intelligence. I love when we start to work with the spirit world. They're very, very intelligent and very smart. So what they would do is they'll use people as communicators. And the message I kept hearing, people I work with, people I didn't know, people that I was sitting with nights and weekends, they would say to me, Debbie, you're going to leave teaching. I'm like, no, I'm not. And and this was a constant message that I was receiving. So I was receiving it that way. Spirit was telling me as well. And because I was kind of like, I can't see this happening, they're like, okay, listen, so now we'll put people in front of you that will constantly give you this message, which is what happened.
And I do remember that it also sort of became uncomfortable for you at work, to the point where you said, it's just time for me to do this.
Yeah, I used to, I was so passionate about my teaching, and I could feel the closer I got to that 10 years in Spirit giving me those nudges, and even another nudge, because Spirit's showing me when I actually met with our mentor, Lindsay Marino. She heard I was doing a mentoring group with her, and she said to me, well, when are you going to leave teaching? I was like, oh boy. So I was like, it's big now. I keep hearing it everywhere. And as I could feel the enthusiasm and the passion that I had for my teaching, was I would go to work, but that enthusiasm and that passion was really switching to, I can't wait to go sit with my loved ones, sit with my clients, my loved ones. They come with me too in Spirit. But I couldn't wait to teach people about the afterlife. I couldn't wait to sit with clients at night. I couldn't wait to get through my school day. To get there, I could feel this shift. It was a big, big shift for me.
And that's what I want our listeners to understand, is that that's the intuition piece. When your body starts to tell you, look how excited you are about this. Look where that passion is coming from. That's listening to your intuition. And you had to do that so bravely to move past what was secure and safe for you to kind of what you didn't really know was going to work out.
Mm-hmm. Right. And when you have, your family that's not fully on board with you either, that's hard,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about some myth busting. What connection to Spirit isn't? So what are some of the common myths that you've heard, misconceptions, and then some truths behind those?
Yeah. So two that always come up for me, and they come up with my clients a lot, or just people that I meet. And one of them is a lot of people think you have to go to a psychic or a medium to connect with your loved ones. And I like to say to people, listen, we all have this beautiful natural gift of intuition. We all just use it differently and in a different way. So some of us are more tuned in than others, we all have this natural ability and sense, and we all get signs. We get dreams. We might get feelings. We might have coincidences, synchronicities, whatever it is. That's our own intuition connecting with our loved ones. And I like to say, as a medium, I just have the honor and the pleasure and to turn up that volume. That's really what happens. I just turn up the volume to what you're already seeing and sensing and feeling. So that's one of the myths that I get a lot, is that people are like, no, you have to go. I'm like, no, listen, you have a beautiful gift of intuition yourself. And I love when clients will say to me, oh, I do feel them, or I do know that this is a message. I'm like, great, because that's what they want you to know, that I am with you each and every day. It's just, well, how much do you tune in to that intuition? My other myth that I get a lot, or misconception that I get, is that people will say to me, Debbie, if I don't receive a sign, then they're not with me. And I'm like, oh, no, no. Or if I don't receive a sign, they're stuck. I'm like, oh, no, no, no. So listen, this is what I know. We all make a full transition. I like to say, yes, even the bad people. What I understand is they got a lot more work, a lot more healing to do when they get to that afterlife. That's how I understand this. But no one is stuck. So we all go over there. And, sometimes what I understand is that the signs from our loved ones are subtle. I like to say they're going to send you things that are meaningful. And if if you haven't received a sign, it does not mean that they're not with you, because they are. What usually happens is we're waiting for this big like whammy of a sign to happen, right? And it's very subtle. And they're going to use things that we normally will probably write off as like, nah, that can't be, it's a coincidence. Like I go to the checkout at, the store and, say my father's name was Harold and the guy's name is Harold. What are the chances, right? That's going to happen. Or I go to the restaurant and my waiter or waitress is that name. Like or the license plates in front of me for the last 5 days either have their initials or their birth date or something. They are going to use what's meaningful. Don't write it off. It's subtle. I like to say, like, as a medium, when I connect with spirit, it's a very subtle shift of my awareness to connect with spirit. Your loved ones will do the same thing. Now, the other thing I like to say is, if you don't get a sign, I like to say, you can assign a sign to your loved ones, meaning don't be afraid to say, I want to set this sign with you. I did it with my grandmother. The day she passed, I saw a certain number pattern 3 or 4 times. And I said to her, this is going to be one of our signs. So you can I connect with her in 2 or 3 different ways. It doesn't have to be just one way. I see her name. I see butterflies, which is a special connection for us, and the number pattern. So, just because they don't send you a sign, you can assign a sign, or more likely than not, they're sending you the signs. You're just not tuning in. You're waiting for this big whammy to happen when it's a very subtle kind of sign that they're sending you. So for sure, yes.
All these myths actually are creating doubts, avoidance, fear of allowing yourself to connect. Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So what are some things that people can do to improve their connection?
Yeah. And I find also, Becc, that this happens too very unintentionally, because I'll have clients who will say to me, Debbie, I don't think they're around me. I don't feel them. And I'll say, that's grief. That grief is overwhelming. Grief is kind of like, I put it hand in hand with like, so we all have anxiety that we experience at different levels, just like the intuition. So when we're anxious, we're stuck. We can't focus. We can't find our way out of a paper bag sometimes. Like it's debilitating. Grief is debilitating. It's the same way. So it's not that they're not around you. They're around you. But what I understand is when we can heal from the grief, and I love this quote by David Kessler, because sometimes we say, well, if I start to heal, then I'm forgetting about them. I'm being disloyal to them. And it's just the opposite. Once we start to heal, and David Kessler says, healing means that you remember me with more love than pain. And I love that. I'm like, oh my gosh. Because when we start to remember with more love than pain, the healing we start to, how do I want to say this? As we heal and we are in a more calm, open state, we're not in that anxiety state, like from grief or that overwhelming state. So as we heal, we actually strengthen our connection with our loved one because we are in a more calm, relaxed, receptive state, And so it actually is we actually are more connected as we heal, which we grow through grief. And so a lot of times when we just lose them, it is sometimes hard for us to hear from them. And then as time, but I get it both ways, because some people will say, Debbie, I heard them when they passed and now I don't. But here's the thing, they are always around you. Again, it's different levels of the connection, But that's what I understand. Like sometimes we unintentionally block that connection because of that. And the more we heal, it actually strengthens the connection. And the other thing I find is that people will say to me, Deb, like in the shower, like I feel them in here. And this is what I understand. Just like we all love the ocean, right? Not all of us, but a lot of us are connected to the ocean. Water is a conductor of spirit. So when you are in the shower, and they don't care that you're showering, believe me, they just care that we are connected to them because they're on the other side. They don't care less about that. They really care that, oh my God, they're receiving this message. We are in this relaxed. So I also like to say too, as we heal, and a lot of times again, we'll connect with them in a subtle receptive state, meaning a lot of times we're doing things that are involuntary. They will connect with us. What do I mean by that? Things that we don't have to think about, meaning when we are walking, driving, when we are brushing our teeth, when we're in the shower, these are the things. Dreaming, sleeping is the most involuntary thing that you will ever do. And so we are in this relaxed state where our loved ones have that capability to just come right in, and we have a beautiful visitation or a dream. Sometimes for me, folding laundry too, whenever I'm relaxed, and it's very subtle, all of a sudden you'll feel your mind drifting and you'll be like, I'm thinking of a memory of them, or I'll start to laugh, or I'll just feel them, I'll feel their presence. It's very subtle. So the healing part, truly, they want us to heal. And when we do, we actually strengthen that connection and that bond because we are, in a more receptive, relaxed state, like a walking meditation too, when we walk. Also too, when we walk, people will say to me, I have a lot of clients that say, Debbie, why do they always connect in nature? And I'll say, because nature's high vibrational, they're in a high vibrational place of love, easy for them to manipulate those signs.
Wow. So these are things that people can do if they actually want to feel closer to their loved ones, is put themselves in a...
Yeah. And one other thing I'm going to say that's important, get a picture, put it in front of you, put it on your, talk to them. I have my loved ones' pictures there. I talk all the time. Trust the messages, the intuition, the guidance that you receive after that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Believe it or not, we have like 5 minutes left. How did this happen? I love that you bring up that you are a grief educator, a certified grief educator through Dr. David Kessler, who does work on grief education. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that? Are you adding that? How do you add that into your current services?
I am always inspired to study with any teachers or mentors. I am very drawn and passionate about the afterlife and supporting people in grief. So that to me was just another layer or something else that I personally felt. It was a passion of mine, but also a reading is so wonderful, but I love to have tools to give to my clients as well. So it's wonderful that I have another set of tools to actually help and support my clients.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. And so what do you have coming up? Like, how can our listeners connect with you, book a reading?
I actually, if my website is under my name, debbiesquizzero.com. And on that first welcome page, I actually have a free PDF, 10 healing insights to help with grief and loss. So you could log on and get that for free. And that has some of the tools and things to help. And on my website also, I have a link to my YouTube page. And I'm very passionate about my events. And so
I love your YouTube videos because if anybody does have a question that was not answered here today, it's likely that it's probably answered on your YouTube channel in a video.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. This has been amazing. It went way too fast. I'm sure you have to come back on again. So I'm sure you have stories that will blow our socks off and undeniable proof that your loved ones are with you. So I want to kind of tie this up by saying you need to trust the unseen. It sounds like you're saying you need to be open, that some things are signs, and stop telling yourself, nope, that's not a sign. Allow yourself to believe it, to feel it. And it sounds like the big part to connecting is to breathe.
Yeah.
And just kind of reduce your anxiety.
And one more thing too, some of my clients actually keep a journal where they'll write down signs or nudges or things how they felt connected to their loved ones. So, and they also sometimes write letters to them as well. So 2 journaling things too to feel closer.
And these come up in your readings where people will say, you just wrote me a letter, or whoa, yes, I did.
Yes.
Okay.
Or clients will actually share that with me. It was part of how they worked through their grief. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here.
Becc, thank you for asking me. Thank you and inviting me.
It took us a long time to get here. So trust the unseen, the power of being open, those internal nudges, even if you feel like, what am I, crazy? And everybody else is telling you you're being crazy. Debbie is a testament to the fact that it happens. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a teaser in 2 weeks, which is April 17th. Our next show is going to be an episode with energy maven, Jody Avarla, who helps us to clear the energy that we don't even realize that we're clearing. And remember, when you unleash your intuition, you reclaim your power. So join us in the revolution. This is Becc Nelson and Deb Squizzero signing off. We're so happy that you joined us here today, everybody. Woohoo! We'll have to do this again because there's so much here that we did not get to, Debbie.
Oh, well, thank you, Becc. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing me with your listeners.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Intuition Unleashed. We hope you found it informative and thought-provoking. But before you go, we have one little challenge for you. Most of us have sneaky little habits that hold us back and trip us up, so why not take this not at all uncomfortable quiz to find out what you do to derail yourself from achieving your goals and how you can call yourself out on your own BS. So get to know your self-sabotage specialty and take the first step towards getting out of the way of your own success. Just visit https://becknelson.com/quiz and take the quiz now. That's becknelson.com/quiz, and we can't wait to see your results. As always, we'll be back next week with more Intuition Unleashed. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening.